Good evening, everyone. So don't think that I have forgotten about silver, gold, and raiment, silver, gold, and clothing. The past few weeks, even though we're talking about other things, but if you discern, it is also mentioning about gold because it talks about the condition of our heart. It talks about the greatness of God. Gold talks about divinity or who God is. Tonight, I have something very simple and yet very controversial and yet very serious. We may complete it fast tonight. Let's look at Matthew chapter 7. I recall that when I was young, I was in a Baptist church. So they have this visiting speaker that organized a spiritual warfare seminar. You know, coming from a Baptist background, talking about spiritual warfare is not usual. Not a normal thing. So I was still back in Penang, and I was still in a Baptist church. If I was still in a Baptist church, it would have been around below the age of 16. So wow, interestingly, Baptist church don't talk about spiritual warfare. So there's a seminar on spiritual warfare. Everybody got excited, so we go over. The Baptist church I was attending with my family was in the mainland, so we crossed over to the island. See, until today I can remember that spiritual warfare seminar. It made a mark, it caused me to remember that seminar. Why? Because it was an Angmo, Angmo talk about spiritual warfare, everybody wants to hear, he must have gone somewhere. Baptist people rarely talk about spiritual warfare. So he was sharing about his testimony and all that. So after he finished the seminar, he was very kind. He said, does anybody have any questions? So not many people have any questions. Only one guy, he was very brave. He was very insistent and persistent and he was very concerned in his heart. He wanted to find out something. So he raised his hand and all eyes fell on him. Of course, everybody wants to know, wow, you have something to ask the Angmo, no? We Chinese rarely ask questions, Q&A, we just got quiet. Everybody understand, we think we understand. So he raised his question and he just say out what it's so vivid in my memory. I know that he's not an English educated person, so he used English but not very fluent. That's not wrong. So he said Matthew chapter 7. He said Matthew chapter 7 verses 21 to 23. And he asked the speaker a question. So until today, this event still got stuck in my memory. So everybody thought he's going to ask a very deep question about spiritual warfare because the seminar was about spiritual warfare, right? So Matthew 7, 21 to 23 has nothing to do with spiritual warfare, but it troubled him so hard it troubled his heart and his mind. When he read these few verses, he was thinking, Aiyo, who is this referring? Who are these people referring? These verses are referring to who? Jesus was talking about a group of people, so they are very concerned. They are asking, who are these people? In fact, he asked, are these people Christians or not? See, after so many years, I still remember. So tonight we'll look at it. Matthew chapter 7, we are still in the theme of looking at the goal. Okay? Matthew chapter 7 verses 21 to 23. If you have your Bible, please read with me, whatever version, whatever language. If you are ready, say amen. Amen. 1, 2, go. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. You found that? Matthew 7, 21 to 23. Have you ever wondered about what the person asked? Are these people Christians or not? So tonight we are not going to delve into the theological aspect of these verses. We are going to learn a few things that are very important when Jesus mentioned these things. Okay? We can look at this verse maybe 7 different ways, 7 different levels God can reveal His truth to us. So tonight we are not going to get into any theological debate. I'm not going to tell you whatever theological position we have here. let's learn something because it troubles us one way or another. Have you ever read this verse and it troubled you? What if I am one of those? Last day I call Lord, Lord, and Jesus walked down and say, I know you. What if that happens? It's a possibility. Jesus himself said it was not other people. I don't know if you follow recent development in Christian world news, not your local political news. Recently, in the month of August or towards the end of July, there are two very alarming news in the Christian circle. A popular author, a mega church pastor, he sent an Instagram message. He said, I'm leaving Christianity. Remember the book he wrote, when I was young, that time, it was a hit among the young people back then. He wrote the book, I Kissed Dating Goodbye. He started a move about purity among young people. He said, young people, you shouldn't go for dating. Christian concept is courtship, you should have no sex before marriage and all that. So he was proposing that. So here we are. So in the month of August, he said, I'm leaving the Christian faith. Mega church pastor, he's divorcing his wife and he's leaving the Christian faith, and he said, I want to apologize to the LGBTX community. He said, I'm sorry that I have always preached against y'all, and he joined the gay parade and all that. So it's an alarming thing in the Christian world. And a few weeks after that, we have one Christian composer. Like that,
Composer of
few songs. He said, I haven't forsaken the faith, but I am in a very difficult position I'm losing faith. My brother, my sisters, these are real things that Christians face. Some people get shipwrecked in their faith. Paul mentioned it in the book of Timothy. We as Christians, we cannot just ignore these things. Of course, if we read the Bible in the context of the Bible, in the last days there will be falling away. I'm not saying these two are falling away or what. In the last days there will be falling away, and even the Bible says even the elect can be deceived. Even the elect can be deceived. And it's not just internal, or it's not just an external pressure. Sometimes there are dark powers that also are battling inside us. So, what can we learn from this? So, it made me think about these developments, and I ponder about this verse. Jesus himself said, not just those who give up, when they are on earth, they give up their faith. Oh, that one clearly, you think they will go to the kingdom of heaven? They don't want to enter into the kingdom of heaven, right? They themselves on earth already don't want to enter into the kingdom, right? If you are on earth, you already decide, I don't want. But in this category, what about those people who think they will enter, and yet they couldn't enter, or Jesus refused their entry? Does it trouble you? Does the news trouble you? So all of you are very updated.
Yes, very troubled.
Very troubled.
Very troubled. I was
Yeah.
thinking today.
Very troubled because it's Hillsong composer. If I tell you the song, all of you sing one. Children also sing. Right? Adults also sing, and he say, now I'm losing my faith. So, but this is the reality. Why? In the Bible also says, not just in the end times there will be falling away. In the end times there will be shakings. Shaking. Why shaking? So that what is real will remain. What is true, only what is true will remain. Everything that can be shaken will be shaken. So Jesus contrasted two things here. Number one, he said, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, So he described a type of people who can enter into heaven. Who are they? Those who do the will of my Father in heaven. Do you have that? Verse 21, second part, he said, he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Everybody say with me. But he who does the will of my Father in heaven. This was the condition that Jesus said. He who does the will of my Father in heaven. Obviously, these people would then argue back against Jesus. He himself also said. So naturally, you and I will think, do the will of the Father in heaven. I go to church, I serve God, I do all this. Of course, I do the will of the Father in heaven. Jesus, having a foreknowledge of what we will think, he forewarned us. Then he said, these people will argue. These people will argue back. Have we not prophesied in your name? Have we not cast out demons in your name? Have we not done many wonders in your name? If you look at the original text, the word in there, there's no word in the original text. So what Jesus was implying is this group of people say, by your name, I use your name to cast out the demon. I use your name to prophesy. I use your name to do wonders. I've done the will of the Father in heaven. Do you say only those who do the will of the Father in heaven can enter? Now, I want to go in. I have done the will of the Father. So my brother, my sister, look here carefully. On one hand, Jesus said, he who does the will of the Father in heaven can enter. Another thing, the contrast of this is, I prophesy. What else do I do? Cast out demon. Are all these things wrong? Are we supposed to do all these things? Oh, you're not very sure. Yes, we have asked, is it wrong to do all these things?
Not wrong.
Not wrong to do all these things?
Whether we ask or not.
Are all these things doing the will of the Father? Yes or no? Yes?
Yes.
Then why Jesus? Is Jesus wrong? No, we have to think about it, right? Let's read carefully again. In case we miss anything. Let's go, verse 21, 22, and 23. If you have a Bible, let's read again. 1, 2, go. Not everyone, read slowly, who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven. So Jesus said, not everyone can, just say Lord, Lord can, right? But what's the condition? Let's continue. But he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Everyone got that?
Yes.
Jesus said it clearly, the condition. Let's go, verse 22. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name? Have we not cast out demons in your name? Have we not done many wonders in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. My brother, my sister, it is not wrong to cast out demons. It's not wrong to, what else do they do? Prophesy in God's name. It is not wrong to do wonders by the name of God. But if I read these two together, it seems that when they do those things, they are not doing the will of the Father in heaven. Can you agree with me? When they do that, they are doing the will of the Father in heaven. Is doing the will of the Father in heaven. Jesus will surely say, come, enter. Enter. Am I right? Hello, are you all still with me? Let everyone settle down first. Hi, Pastor Anthony, good to see you. So we are looking at Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 to 23. Okay? So we have contrasted. Jesus said, not everyone who say, Lord, Lord, can enter into the kingdom of heaven, but those only who do the will of the Father. Then knowing that people will argue with Jesus, hey, I went to church, I go to church, I serve God, I do this, I do everything. But Jesus foreknew that people will argue. So he forewarned us. He said, no, on that day, people will argue. Oh, have we not prophesied in your name? Have we not cast out demons in your name? Have we not done wonders in your name? So it appears that casting out demons, prophesying in his name, and doing wonders do not amount to doing the will of the Father in heaven. Very strange. What is Jesus saying here? If indeed doing all this is doing the will of the Father in heaven, then Jesus will surely say, come into the kingdom of God. And he said, I declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. My brother, my sister, what is going on here? What is the heart of the Father in this matter? What is Jesus wanting to tell his disciples? It is not about number one, it's not about the external. It's not what you do outside, right? If you look at Matthew chapter 7, right before these few verses, Jesus was talking about, I know someone by your fruit. You just look at Matthew chapter 7, a few verses before that, Jesus was saying, you only judge a tree by the fruit, right? So it is not the external thing you do that shows in the eyes of the people. They will think, oh, this one are very faithful. This is a God's servant. He is doing the will of the Father. He casts out demons. He prophesied. He does wonders. Jesus said, you shall know by his fruit. So it's not just the external. The fruit must confirm what is inside. So it's not purely just the external. Amen? It's not just what I do. Jesus knows what is inside us. And outside, if we do not inside, can be misleading also. You see, you judge a tree by its fruit, right? So outside and inside must match. Jesus is saying both your outside and inside must match. It has two implications. Number one, how I know a person is real or not, I judge by the fruit. Oh, but if I just solely judge on the fruit, I will think a person who prophesies, who does wonders, casts out demons is very good. But Jesus is telling us another dimension. Your outside must match your inside. Why do I say that? Because then we will be very easily fooled. If I just judge by the outside, wow, I learned from very young. Sorry, I'm just like sharing with you all something. Wow, we see a place. Wow, this place. A lot of people will say like that. You see, the char kway teow store there. So long queue. Judged by the fruit. Surely more tak thing one. Correct? We judge the external by we judge the quality. We think, oh, the char kway teow very nice. Some even bring their own stool. They queue up, they bring a stool. Guaranteed, ho jiak one. Guaranteed very nice. Don't suddenly think about char kway teow and saliva. But when I was young, I was told something that was deeply impressed in my heart and in my mind. A pastor, a servant of God came from Argentina or US, and he said something. He said, do you know the Who's Who? You know, there's a book called Who's Who. You know, in the world, they publish every year Who's Who, 2019. Maybe now it's not so popular. Now they call Time Man of the Year, Time Magazine or whatever. Right? The Who's Who list in heaven is always different from the Who's Who list on earth. It struck me deeply, and I always can remember that. You can be very popular on earth. Doesn't mean you will be among the Who's Who list in heaven. Why? The way the heaven looks at things are so different from the way we look at things. So if you read some of the accounts and testimonies of people who have visited heaven, they will tell you, they are shocked when they see certain, wow, this person with great ministry, this is not to judge or make fun of people. Say, wow, this famous God servant has only a small shack. While this person unknown, the widow with the 3 mites has a great treasure in heaven. This would immediately cause us to think, hey, it's not enough just to get everyone to approve on earth and say, I'm doing well, I'm doing the will of God. And what we think, what we assess, what we value from what we see may not necessarily be the same as how the Father in heaven assess and value. That's the truth, whether you like it or not. And the problem is, you can discover it, accept it, learn from it, live from it now itself, or too late. Until when we go up there, we don't have another chance anymore. Do you agree with me? Because if we realize this principle now, what people think good may not be what Jesus thinks is good. If I realize this now, I will make it my priority. Everything I do, everything I try to do, everything I try to live my life on this earth, make sure it is the Father's will. Make sure it pleases the Father. It's not enough to please man. It's not enough to look good in front of people. I would rather, hello, listen to me. I would rather step on your tail today, make you very unhappy today. You don't come next week onwards. But if I know something and I don't help you, and one day up there in heaven, you say, why do you know it? And you never tell me. Heaven's who's who is different from the earth's who's who. You're not judging, you're not called to judge, you're not called to do that. But this verse itself tells us, these people are doing the correct things in the eyes of people. They are casting out demons. They are prophesying. They are doing wonders. And yet, that do not amount to the will of the Father in heaven. I remember a testimony by a person. It was long in the 1980s. There was a young man in Argentina. He was about 30 years old. He wanted to serve God because he came from parents who are pastors. He has very deep desire to serve God. So he went to Bible school. And then he started serving God with his wife and a small child. So everything he does in the church, he sings song, he leads song, he preach. The pastor will say very kindly to him, I don't sense the anointing. I don't think you are, I cannot sense God in what you're doing. So he was very frustrated. Everything he does doesn't seem to show that God's hand is on what he's doing. But he said, I'm called, I want to do this. And one day, because not enough money, he went to work. Interestingly, he got a very good job. At that time, in Argentina, not many people have the computer, knows how to use computer, so he got a very good job, got a good favor from God. He did very well. He got paid very well. So he went back to the pastor and said, Pastor, I found a good job. I'm very blessed. I think this is what I'm going to do. I think I will forget about the call. I will just do what I want to do, and I'll be a normal church member. The pastor, knowing the ways of God, having a clear understanding of human heart, he said, you cannot do that. You don't play reverse psychology with God. You think that you do like that, then God will give you your call back. No? You are playing with God. You are not being true to God. You are using reverse psychology. God, I answer your call, but nothing happened. So now I don't want to do your call. I go to the world and do my things, and I just be a church member. The pastor said, you think like that? You think like that will attract God's attention? You think God doesn't know your heart? So he was convicted. He went back and he prayed and he prayed and he prayed. And he said, what's going on in my life? Everything is alright, but I know there's something not right. Finally, as he prayed and he prayed, he had an awakening. He said, finally I understood what my pastor has always been telling me. In this world, it's not what I do what I'm called to do. In this world, the foremost calling, the highest calling is to know God. He finally got a light in his heart and mind. Is to know God in his death, in his resurrection. He understood what Paul said when he said, I want to know you in your death, in your resurrection. Finally, he came to him. It's not about doing great things for God. And now having had this, he had encounters with God. God came and visited him. And when he thought he knows what he's going to do, what is he going to preach about? Now he finally came to the realization. He found that he was at the last stage of a terminal disease in his life. When he knew his calling, his destiny, he truly understood all that. He had only a few weeks to live. And during those weeks, Jesus began to visit him, bring him to heaven, begin to give him messages. So every time the pastor will come and say, has Jesus visited you again? What did Jesus tell you? So one day before, I think it was the day he was dying, the day he will die. So the pastor said, has Jesus come again? What did he show you? He said, yes. I saw gold. So everything is gold in heaven. And he said, he preached his life's message. He says that there will be fire. But what is important is gold. Gold for gold. Gold for gold. And he died. My brother, my sister, gold speaks about God and his nature. In the world that we live in, there are many emphases, none of which are wrong in a church ministries. Some say do this, do that. Some say, you got to serve, you got to preach, do the Great Commission, you got to do the spiritual gifts. Some say counseling, some say inner healing. All are different streams. We are not here to judge anyone. Everyone has a different call. Everyone has some truth to preach about. Tonight, I feel glad to share with you why is it that my wife and myself, we are called to start Bethany. Most of you come, you are ministered to or in some way or another. I can only say it in a very simple way. In Christian world, there are many things that people emphasize. There are many things. Great Commission. If you are someone who is asked to preach the Great Commission, wow, I'm supposed to do the Great Commission. You do everything here. Then sometimes you get other place, wow, this is about spiritual gift and all that. When we were young, when my wife and myself were young, we were led by God, we encountered God, and we had a call in our lives that living Christian life is always from the center. It is always knowing God first. In everything we have been imparted, not whatever ways, for at least 10 years. It has been our foundation. It's not about anointing, it's not about gifting, it's not about ministry, it's not about Great Commission. All these are not wrong. But when you live from the center, like Paul, I only want to know God. When you are living from the center, yes, you can do Great Commission, you'll be called to do healing, you'll be called to do this, you know what to do, but you are always living from the center. When you are living from the center, you will understand what Jesus is saying. He who does the will of my Father in heaven. Christianity 101. It sounds very basic, but if you look at it carefully, all of you come from different churches, that's fine. You have different emphasis. You are living here and you think the whole Christian world is only this one. And some of you are living here and you say, and you argue with the people here, the whole Christian life is just here. God is saying, L is consistent throughout the Bible. Your first call, your very important call, know God, seek God, know Him, seek Him. The rest is the spoke. He will anoint you. When the need is there, He will prophesy, He will heal, He will preach the gospel, He will do all that. But your focus, your eyes are always on God. Never on self. When you are here, when you are in other spokes, you are not balanced. You tend to either exalt yourself, you look at yourself very much, I can do this very well, I can do this very well. Because those who live from the center know they are zero. To know God so great, I'm nothing. Without God, I cannot preach anything. I always tell God, God, if you do not do anything, what I say amounts to nothing. That's the truth. I have nothing to be boastful about. I can preach. I can go to one of these spokes. My brother and my sister, look here. I can talk about financial prosperity. I can talk about finances here, kingdom wealth. I can talk about all that. But once I go here, if all I talk about is this here, I will lead you astray. Your focus will be on that. I will stir the greed inside you. I can begin to prophesy from the greed inside you. I will begin to prophesy blessings. I'll begin to talk about all those things. And we forget and we shut out who God is. We completely. You go to a meeting, sometimes when I was younger, when I go to a meeting, just talk about finance. I'm sorry, I'm very radical. I just walk out. I can't. It's not pride, it's not anything. I will tell inside my heart myself, my God is not God of prosperity. Not the Chinese God of prosperity. You know, sometimes I go to a church, I see a vision, I see they are worshiping the Cai Shen Dao. We got to face it. If you and I are not here very easily, when you are in that, what's the problem? We will become self-focused. We will be looking at our needs as so big. We'll begin to see what we do as so big. Every focus will always be on ourselves. There are signs people who live from here. There are signs people who live from here. Look at the Bible. You look at the Bible. What do they see? You look at Paul. He talks about suffering. He talks about balanced view of this world. We'll go to that shortly. My brother, my sister, what it means to do the will of the Father in heaven. What it means to have Jesus as a center, to live from the center, not live in one of the spokes of the wheel. Turn with me to Acts chapter 13. There is a clue in Acts chapter 13. What does doing the will of my Father in heaven mean? If you have found it, say yes. Obviously not yet, right? Acts 13, verse 22. Acts chapter 13, verse 22. And whenever you are doing these things, whenever you want to be in this center, can I just forewarn you? If you choose, if God speaks to you, if you're aligned, if you somehow catch this vision, you think that, oh, all this while I'm doing this, all this while, and there's still an emptiness within. God is calling you. In fact, this is a call to everyone. No one is special that you have to be here. Everyone is called to live from the center. It's just that we go out of balance, we go to one of these. There is a call again from God for all of us to live from here. And just as a caution, if you live from here, you don't have popular messages to preach, because the messages do not appeal to the flesh. I will not be preaching messages that appeal to your flesh, to say nice things about your flesh. If you want to live from here, it's always death to self. If you want to live from here, let me first forewarn you, it may be a lonely journey. Many other people would rather live less than here life. It's okay, I've been here all this long. It's not wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong. You can please proceed with it. But if you have that, if God calls you, if you respond to this vision, come, join my wife, myself. I know you're already here. Let's build this vision together. This is not just a place of ministry. You come and be ministered. God has given us a heart. There are many things like Acts chapter 13 verse 22. And when he had removed him, here it talks about when God removed Saul, he raised up for them David as king. Everyone say David as king.
David as king.
To whom also he gave testimony and said, I have found David the son of Jesse, a man after my own heart, who will do all my will. There you go, you got the key there. Jesus said, not everyone who said, Lord, Lord, will enter into the kingdom of heaven, but those who do the will of the Father. We have a key here. What type of a person does the will of the Father? This is the perfect example. Here, Paul himself said, David does all God's will. Wow, he was speaking out of inspiration. He was inspired to say, this David did all God's will. So you want to have an example? Have it in David. And what kind of person David is? You look a few words before that. He was, everyone say, a man. Everyone say, a man.
Amen.
After God's own heart. That's it. You are a man, a woman after God's own heart. You are living from here. You just can compare David and Saul. Saul became a king. He doesn't care about God at all. All he cares is himself. What will people think about him? Will they listen to him? He never for once, listen to me, Saul never for once want to take back the Ark of the Covenant. He has no heart for God's presence. He has no zeal for the house of God. That is Saul. And when you have David, a man after God's heart, the moment they say, now you are king of Israel, he say, let's go to Jerusalem. Let's go, get the Ark of Covenant. Let's get it back. If your heart is for the presence of God, it's just for God only. You can be a king like David, you can be a janitor, you can be a crab diver, you can be whatever you are doing on this world, but if you are a man, you can be a salesman, you can be a businessman, you can be a housewife, you can be a teacher, as long as you are inside a man after God's heart, you do the will of God wherever you are. It doesn't mean you have to prophesy and to show that, oh, everyone see, I'm prophesying. You miss the picture. But wherever you are, whatever you are doing, businessman, housewife, or whatever, your heart is after God. I just want the presence of God. I just want to carry the presence of God wherever I go. People don't know who I am, does not matter. I don't have to say and chop there, hey, that what I do, I know, that what I prophesy on. It's me, my name. That is not David, that is Saul. What's the key there? David, a man after God's heart. Amen?
Amen.
Do you see that? Do you see that key? Wow. Does it mean that you are perfect? No. David didn't have a perfect life. You see or not? This is how God sees people. It's not that, wow, this must be you are perfect. David fell into sin, but look at David when he fell into his sin. What kind of repentance that is? His repentance different from Saul's repentance. His repentance different from Pharaoh's repentance. All three of them say, I have sinned against God. Only David's repentance was real. Because he knew the heart of God. You can do the mechanics. I have sinned. Pharaoh can say the same thing. King Saul can say the same thing. Oh, I have sinned. He told the prophet, I have sinned, but please let me look good in front of the people. He just wants to repent to get the blessing. This, can I tell you honestly, this is the culture today of Christianity. I do what I do to get blessing. What does it become? Is Christianity all about that? I do what I do. I praise God so that God can bless me. I pray so that God can bless me. I'm sorry, can I tell you? My God is not just like that. It's not about just like that. It's not wrong, yes. You do this to be blessed, yes. But if that is only it, I'll be very sad. I'll be very sad. My God is this type of person. Just on people to pray that I'll bless? No. Even if you don't do the right thing, He still bless you. My Bible tells me He gives sun and rain upon the just and unjust. That's my God. I worship Him because of who He is, how great He is. No matter I see my sin, but He can still love me. That's my God. That's my God. But if it's only doing something to get something, or it's just I have problem, I go to God, then that's not wrong, okay? God loves to bless us. Don't get me wrong, okay? I'm not saying don't do it. God loves to bless all His children. God loves to answer our prayers. But if we stop there, you have missed it all. That is only one step. to know God. There is only one step to know God. Because His calling for us is to know Him. Why do I say that? Jesus Himself said, "Depart from me, I never knew you." That's the quality. How to do the will of God? Do you know God? And then how do I know God or not? Does God know you? Now He's not talking about God knows everyone He created, right? Hello, listen to me. God knows everyone. God knows whether He is not a Christian. You think God doesn't know His name? Hey, you're not Christian. Hey, God take out the cross. Go. God scared. Even if you're not a Christian, God also knows your name. Right? Hey, this is a Hindu one. Hey, I don't know your name. Too difficult to pronounce. No such thing, right? God knows everybody's name. Am I right? Everybody's name. But why Jesus say, "I never knew you"? The word "knew" there is ginosko, intimately knowing you. I do not have a relationship with you. Why? You never open your heart. I never knew what is in your heart. As much as I can see into your heart, you never open up yourself to me. You never pour out your heart to me. You never engage me. You pray mechanically. You ask for blessing. When you ask for blessing, are you showing your heart to me? No. God, please. Then every day, God, please. Does God know you? God doesn't know you. Does God know you? God doesn't know you. Bless me. Does God know you? I do this, I do that all the time. I say all this, I say the right things. These are all the correct formulas for a successful Christian living. Does God know you? What did Jesus say? "I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness." What does that mean? You do sin and iniquity. Very strange, right? Every one of us also practice sin. As long as we are on the flesh in this earth. Am I right? Who has reached divinity? Who has stopped sinning? I almost thought Alex will leave his hand.
Legally.
Who has stopped sinning? So, we don't qualify. Do you see what hidden message is Jesus saying? "I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness." If God knew you, you would have opened your heart to God. God, I'm this type of a person. I'm full of lust. I'm full of envy. When I see that person blessed, I cannot tahan. I'll be very angry. I'll be very envious. I will begin to curse other people. You will say that to God. You will talk, "But God, please help me. This is not right. Cleanse me, purify me, forgive me." When I see these things, I cannot. Nobody knows. I'm a pastor. I'm a leader in that church. But I'm serving God. But when nobody sees, this is my secret sin, Lord. What are you doing? You are ginoskoing with God. You are learning to have a relationship with God. You are opening your heart. God, this is me. This is truly me. When you truly see your heart and you can tell it to God, you are beginning to engage God. Then God comes, heals you, forgives you, loves you, changes you. Again and again you fall. What do? Buat tatau. If you buat tatau, God will say, "I never knew you also." You never open your heart. You are continuing in that lawlessness. Is it very harsh tonight? Not very harsh, right? But this is the word of God. Amen.
Amen.
Never open to God. Jesus said, "I don't know you." Cannot be. Like I say, cannot be unless you have never opened up to God. Relationship is always there. You open up. You are not forced to just say certain things to make things happen. You know, I make certain that's what people have fallen into. Like, do a few chant, chant, and things will happen. That's what he has become in a Roman Catholic. They do certain chant, they think that it will happen. It started from the paganism. You chant Hail Mary. Is it? You chant Hail Mary, Mary will come and save you. Oh, you're very good. I don't know. Look at I spoke to Catholic people before. I tried to talk to them. I tried to tell them the Mary that you hail is not the Mary of Jesus. The Mary that you hail is not the mother of Jesus. The Mary that you hail is a goddess, is a spirit, is a demonic spirit. prophetess who go to Rome, they see a ruling goddess in the air. It's a spirit of Mary, not a real Mary. It's a demonic spirit. You are hailing that Mary. Sorry, you're not Catholic, so you don't feel it. Huh? Oh, sorry, you're ex-Catholic. Correct, no? You hail Mary, right? You have the rose, you do the prayer, right? Chant lah.
We had the rosary, we had the little book, prayer book.
Hail Mary. Some are not. Some are from the Bible. Our Father is in the Bible.
Most of the time is our Father.
Our Father is the Lord's Prayer lah. They call it Our Father. See, I know. You got to learn because you got to talk to Catholics, right? They'll tell you, they say, oh yeah. Then you go and learn. Oh yeah, good and powerful. You also start Hail Mary. That's why you have to learn. You have to understand. Amen.
Change the spelling to H-E-L-L, not H-A-L-L.
But it's true. It's the ruling demonic goddess in Rome. So, why did we go there? So it's not about chanting. So we laugh at Catholics, they are chanting. What about us? Do we say some things? Just not from our heart. We don't feel a thing. When we pray, we are not opening our hearts to God. We are just saying something formula. You are just transacting with God. Every day, bless me, heal me, keep me in Jesus' name. Amen. So we got to learn to open up ourselves. In order to open up ourselves, we need the Holy Spirit. Because to know God, we need the Holy Spirit. We cannot everything. That's why when you want to learn to live from the center, you really need to depend on the God, on the Holy Spirit. The Bible says, you want to know God, only the Holy Spirit can reveal to you. You and I cannot know God by ourselves. That's why I say, you want to be here, you are nothing. You must be ready to be nothing. I want to know God, also cannot. I don't have the capacity to know God.
To be empty.
Empty. Unless the Holy Spirit. So when you are in that empty, dependent state, any great thing or anything you do, you will never boast. Amen. I won't say like, wow, I've done this. It's not me. If I say it's me, that's very shameful. Angels all will believe. Oh, you lah. Angel all. Oh, it's you, huh?
So next time we do your time.
So, learning to live from there is like David having a heart after God's heart. A man after God's heart. The central pursuit, the deep pursuit in his heart is to know God, is to pursue God. He always has this thing. Why is he a man after God's heart? One thing I seek. You see that? His psalm talks about one thing. It's not about riches. But because his one thing is God, he will have his riches. Because his one thing is God, he will have the favor. Because his one thing is God, he will be blessed. He will have victory in his war and all that. Because his one thing is God, at the same time, he will also experience sadness, sorrow, defeat. Then you begin to see this is the real Christian life. So that you do not live in a fantasy Christian life. Oh, it's always blessed. When it's always blessed, prosper, something happens, you say, I don't want to follow Jesus anymore. You and I will not be ready for the shaking if it is you always only hear motivational teaching on Sunday. They say when all you hear from the pulpit every day is very sweet, everything is always motivational, you end up with spiritual diabetes. Spiritual diabetes is all good. Oh, you are wonderful. There is a giant inside you. You are an awakened giant. You will be doing all these great things. Then suddenly when you face problem, my friend, you don't have anything to hold on to. You do not know God. That is the truth. It's my experience. It's the experience of many. When you are in a problem, I don't know what to pray. How to pray when there is a shaking. I don't know what to pray. I don't know what to do. When you need to hear a word from God, how does his voice sound when you don't have a prophet to prophesy for you? And you make mistakes. That is part of Christian maturity. you walk with God, you think this is the voice of God, you are ready to be wrong and say, hey, I heard wrongly, I made a wrong step. You learn. That is real. Prophetic minister, oops, I prophesied like that wrongly. You are being honest. You paint a real picture to every Christian. Sometimes I get it wrong as well. I heard from established, very established prophets. They said, sometimes I get it wrong also. They tell you, they don't paint a false picture. I am 100% prophecy. No word of my prophecy ever fell to the ground. Of course there is. Not many, but rare. But the real thing is, we make mistake. We prophesy, we make mistake. Then I'm painting the right picture. Everyone can join into this, in this work of the kingdom. It's not just pastors, it's not just gifted. Gifting is nothing. I just give you a gift. I give you a present, a handphone. Will you be very happy? Yay, I'm very proud. I am a Huawei owner. It's a gift. It's a gift. It's a gift. Gift. Wow, I'm so anointed to do this. It's a gift. It's a gift. People give to you. People don't give, you don't have. God gave it first for us. It's a gift. Is that very important? When you realize it's all that, you go back. It's not important. Let me find my identity. When I seek God, God tells me, you hear from His voice, you are my son. That settles every bitterness inside you. You are close to Him. He takes away your shame. That settles every insecurity in you. I told many people before, I struggled with shame. I just have one word from God. I've taken care of your shame. I never struggle with that anymore. Seek God. Seek Him. That's the first thing. If give, He gives you. Calling, He lead people to that gospel. Of course, all of us must do all that. Nothing wrong. I'm not saying all wrong. Come back to the centrality of what God has saved us from. Why did Jesus die on the cross? To reconcile you to God. You think this is very basic. After reconciling you to God, then you can do your own work. Correct? After reconciling you to God, now you go and do it. Reconcile us to God and for us to grow in union, in intimacy. You are one with God, and whatever you do, you are doing with God in union. Hello? The second thing is, of course, you will go through storms. Because you and I are not called to always live on the mountain tops. If you don't have the right picture of a Christian life, Christian life is both valleys and mountain tops. If you do not know how to live in the valleys, when shakings come, you and I cannot survive. You must find God real in the valley as well as when He is on the mountain top. That is seeking Him, knowing Him. He's the God of the valley and God of the mountain top. When you go through trial, when you go through storms, the answer is not to, hey, when can I get out of it? God wants you to know Him in the storm. He is real in the storm. When you find Him in the storm, it doesn't matter when the storm is over. Most of the time, it's just like, oh, when can I get out? When will this thing be over? When will God answer my prayer? That is not living from the center. Living from the center is, God, you are greater than all these problems. You are greater than the devil. Whatever assignment sent, if this you allow it, you are reigning. God, I find your reality in this storm, in this valley I'm in. I live. It has to be real in my life. I'm not going to pretend. Even if I'm a leader, if I'm a pastor, I'm ministering, I'm going to be very real. I'm struggling now in a storm. In a storm. I find this is my struggle now.
He call it also a battlefield.
Your mind is a battlefield. Romans say your mind is a battlefield all the time, attacking your mind. Paul tells us our mind is a battlefield every time we are at war. So there are two things why Jesus said, I never knew you. Number one, you practice lawlessness, you never open up yourself to God. Number two, what did He say? Not everyone who say, Lord, Lord. can tell a person who knows God or not very easily by how they communicate with God. How they pray, how they call out to God, you will roughly know this person doesn't know God. It's not to judge. It's not to judge. You just say, oh, okay lah. He just know God as a Santa Claus. It's okay. He's always there. His God is a Santa Claus. He's always there. The way we address God, the way we commune with God, you will know whether a person knows God or not. I told you many times, last time I told you, a person who can command, in Jesus' name, God's presence come now. Or something. No, like, I command God's presence to come now. The person doesn't know God. I can command God's presence to come now. I am bigger than God. Whenever you are bigger than God, I don't think you and I do not know God anymore. Amen. This is all not to judge. This is all to judge ourselves. How do I pray? Go back and ask yourself. You see, twice Jesus said, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord. Why? Go back and see your prayer life. Go back and see your communion life with God. What is your Lord, Lord? You know, Lord is just a inverted comma. What is your Lord, Lord? How do you pray to God? Is it always commanding Him? Is it always? How do you address God? What is your Lord, Lord? Jesus said it twice. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord. Then another one. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord. He was telling us how you call out to God, how you commune with God shows your level of relationship with God, or your level of knowledge with God. The way you and I commune with God. Is it love? Is there love? That's why every time here, I make it a point. We must sing, I love you, Lord. You must never forget your calling, my calling. You must love God. It is a command. That's why we always definitely must sing, I love you, Lord. It's not a religious thing. I must get this inside. We sing so many other songs in the church already. Make sure we sing, I love you, Lord. We sing all kinds of songs. Not wrong, but most of the time we declare this, declare that. Not wrong. We can do all that. But you forget about loving God. And Jesus is waiting there. Quietly, sadly, he walks out. He came here today. Oh, he thought, there'll be people here. My bride. He hopes to meet with his bride. It's biblical. Finally, the final call, Revelation. The Spirit and the bride says, come. Jesus will only come when the Holy Spirit and the bride call out to him. But every time he goes to a place of gathering, he's waiting for his bride. Okay, they're declaring. Okay, they are singing God's word. Okay, hey, finish already. Have you ever thought? We shouldn't laugh. It should sadden us. The Jesus that died for us. The Jesus that died for us, who gave everything for us. Okay, this one, yeah, they pretend, they say they want to sit at the feet. Okay, this one, Bethany, they say sit at the feet. Okay, wow, they say only outside only, Lord only. Come. What do we do? Do we come to Jesus? Forget about everything. I just want to find my Jesus. Like the song says, I just want to be where you are. Is it true? I just want to be where you are. Wow. You gladden the heart of Jesus. Wow. That is knowing God. When that happens, God will be waiting for us every day. Today, Alex come and sit with me. Today, will Joseph sit with me? Or is it on Friday? Or is it on Sunday? Every day, will Joseph, will Marianne, will Jerry, will he come? Will he come? Will he open his heart? It's his desire. Will he open his heart? Will I know him? Will I know her? Wow. I have so much things to share to him, to her. Will he come? Will he share his heart? When he shares his heart, I'm waiting. Will he be quiet and I will share my heart also? I read the other day a book Very interesting phrase. The disease of the modern day Christianity is restlessness. When you cannot be still and sit with God. So I pray that this will be a beginning of a series. We hope to go deeper. We're going to see how do we commune with God. The person who died, before he died, he said, go for gold. Go for that which is most important. He has seen heaven. Jesus has come to him. Go for divinity. Go for the nature of God. That is the most important thing. In your life, there will be fire. There will be storms. There will be troubles. But all this is only to purify the gold. If you're going for gold, if you have gold inside you, don't worry about the storm. The storms will only clarify the gold inside. Clarify who you are, what you are called to do, to be in this world. Hallelujah. Shall we stand? Father, we thank you for tonight, that you are a good God. We come here tonight. We have nothing to offer you, but Lord, we come just as we are. We open our hearts to you tonight, Lord. You are a God who longs for us. We are not aware of this. Many times we are just more aware of our needs. Many times we are just more aware of ourselves. We never think about what is in your heart, Lord. We never realize what is your heart's desire. That you desire us so much more than we desiring you. You love us so much more than how we can love you. That's why the Bible says, we can love you because you first loved us, oh God. So Lord, tonight I pray you open the eyes of our heart. You reveal your love afresh to us. You make yourself real afresh to us again, Lord. The degree you awaken us, the degree you are real to us, then God will respond in sincerity to you, in worship, in love unto you, Lord. God, how can we, in all our lives, miss this central message? It is always Christ supreme, Christ preeminent, Christ, but Christ alone in our lives. How we have mistakenly, Lord, granted this place to other things, to ministries, to good works, to giftings, to our needs, to legitimate needs, legitimate works. All these are important, oh God. But when we miss what matters most, oh God, our life becomes imbalanced, oh God. And when storm hits us, when there are storms in our lives, we begin to be shaken and we do not know our foundation, oh God. Lord, we come to you tonight. We welcome your Holy Spirit in our midst to awaken our hearts. Cause us to know afresh who you are and what you have called us to be, oh God. Thank you, Lord. My brother, my sister, I pray that what we have heard tonight will stir a hunger, will stir a true desire inside you. Jesus says, not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. I never ginosko you. You have never opened your heart to me. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. Whereas in Acts we learn, I have found David, the son of Jesse, a man after my own heart, the man who sought after God, the man whose one thing in life is not to be king, and yet God made him king. His one thing in life is not to defeat Goliath, but yet God gave him the victory. His one thing in life is not to be delivered from his enemies, but his one thing in life is to behold the beauty of God, is to just seek God. If he has God, he is satisfied. Not the position of king, not in what he can do as a king. Father, may you raise up many Davids in our midst, Lord. Make me a David. Make us Davids, Lord. Men and women after God's heart. While many other people will chase after other things, we are ready to sacrifice fame. We are ready to sacrifice flesh. We are ready to sacrifice our self-worth. All ourselves are not important. We place it on the altar and we want to be men and women after your heart. When we are men and women after your heart, then we have the capacity, we have the heart to do all the will of the Father. Amen, my brother, my sister. Let this be your prayer and desire. Shall we sing a song as we conclude and we close tonight? Hallelujah. Just close your eyes. Just take this time. Allow the Holy Spirit to speak to you tonight. God is calling out to you and to me. Ask Brother Joseph to just play the song. All eyes on Jesus. Just learn to just begin to talk to God. Nothing is important but God. If this is your desire, I want to be like David. His passion, his one passion in life is not ministry. His one passion in life is not success, it's not prosperity. His one passion in life is not fame. It's not success. It's not all these things. His one passion in life is you, is God and God alone. Are you willing to allow God to shape you, to mold you, to bring you through circumstances, to refine, to clarify this desire, this vision in you? Learning to live from the center of the wheel and not just stuck. I want to sing a song here that you may not have heard before. Just close your eyes. I'm going to share the words with you. Just talk to God at this moment. It says here, Lord, there's just one thing I ask of thee, that I might excel in loving thee. There is nothing else in life I want to be, but by thy grace to excel in loving. Lord, there's just one thing. One thing I ask of you, that I might excel, that I will be good in this one thing in my life. What is the one thing I want to excel in? That I excel in loving you, my God. There's nothing else in life I want to be, but by your grace to excel in loving you. Wow. Wow. Not to excel in anything else, but to love God. But to love God. God is waiting. God has created us for Himself. That is what St. Augustine said. Our hearts will never rest until we find our rest in Him. He has created us for Himself. You never knew this. Inside you is the capacity to love Jesus. But we put that to other things. We pursue others. So it's not an easy song to sing because we must mean what we sing. But this is the spirit of what the Holy Spirit wants to do tonight in our midst. Are you willing to respond to this call? We may not be there yet, but do you hear? Do you see the finger of God pointing in your heart? This is what I call you to be. This is what I call you in your life. To excel, to do this, to have the one thing like David. To have the one thing like David, where God is the one thing. Loving God, pursuing God, seeking God is the one thing.